Good evening, everyone. We now have the plenary session, Perspectives on Safe and Sustainable Food Packaging. I would like to introduce Sarah Jackson, the moderator of this key session. Sarah Jackson has worked in various roles for Nestlé South Africa for 3 decades, 2 of which were based in the GCC. Her experience includes senior business and executive leadership roles in regions across Africa, Middle East, and Asia. She was instrumental in leading and supporting greenfield projects, including establishing manufacturing facilities in new markets, business restructuring, new market entries, and so on. On leaving the corporate world in 2019, Sarah established her own consultancy, Green Ethics, and is now managing the Circle Coalition, a public-private partnership focused on developing a closed-loop economic model for recycling post-consumer packaging waste. The Circle Coalition, under the sponsorship of the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment, comprises multinational and regional brand owners, including Unilever, Nestlé, PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, Procter & Gamble, Actia Group, and the Gulf Bottled Water Association. The petrochemical and packaging industry is represented by Dow, BASF, Borouge, Tetra Pak, GPCA, as well as the hospitality and retail sectors. Sarah has since been appointed to the Policy Committee of the Circular Economy Council in the UAE. Over to Sarah.
Thank you, Swaliha, and thank you, everybody. We're looking forward to an exciting session. Today, there's an increasing urgency to address the impact of humanity on the planet's health, as the demands of our global population increasingly push and exceed the planetary boundaries, impacting biodiversity loss, climate change, deforestation, land use, and freshwater use. But at the same time, the challenges of providing safe food and water to 8 billion people in predominantly single-use packaging solutions that do not pollute the environment is a question that our panelists today are uniquely qualified to answer. So our focus will be on transformation towards sustainability and moving towards circularity for the packaging industry. And my first panelist I'd like to introduce is Dr. Mike Cheatham. He's the Global Business Development Director from Hotpack Packaging Industries. Dr. Mike, over to you.
Thank you very much. I will just put our slides up. I presume, is that showing? Okay?
Yes, we see that. Great. Thanks, Dr. Mike. Please
Fantastic.
Go ahead.
Dr. Mike Cheatham, my responsibility at Hotpack is sustainability in our environmental programs. We are the largest, most diverse packaging company in the Middle East. We've got, we now have 14 factories, 27 branches, sales centers all over the region. We've got 43 sales centers. We're a large company, and therefore I think it's very good in this conference to be able to look at what the packaging demands are. Are we getting feedback? Yeah. We have 3,500 products. We have many paper, wooden, plastic, aluminium products, and therefore we're a very good window to look at what's happening in the region. Of our 3,500 products, we've taken a strong step ourselves towards sustainability. 40% of those products now demanded by the local economy, because we supply every airline, we supply every supermarket, every hotel chain. 40% of those now are paper-based, which obviously has eco benefits. Of the plastic products, again, 40%. 40% of those now are PET-based, which we know is the best environmental recyclable plastic. 50% PP, again, which is fully recyclable. And as we all know, the polystyrene ranges are being phased out gradually. Aluminium, again, 100% recyclable is 10%. And then we have 10% of our 3,500 products which are specific eco products, which is now around 500 products. So in total of our range of products for this market, for the whole GCC, 96% of those products have good eco origins, intentions. In our factories, even in our plastic factories, we aim to have 0% landfill. Our machines are designed to take recycled content. We recycle all the skeletal and we put nothing into waste. So we have now spent a lot more money buying the machines which can take the recycled content. The problem we have, as we've heard many times today, is we cannot buy that recycled content. What I'd like to do, having spent many years doing this, is just educate the audience that everything that glistens isn't always green, and we need to take a very educated look at everything. A big phrase at the moment is greenwashing. Greenwashing means that everybody makes eco claims, green claims, and we need to be educated to understand whether or not it benefits the environment or not. I'm going to give you two specific examples. So I'd like us to be eco-educated, not greenwashed. Let's look at the paper bag. Now, as you know, in this region, the paper bag is about, so the plastic bag is about to be phased out. When we manufacture paper bags, we're supporting this region with the replacement paper bag. That's not a problem. But when you look at some of the detailed studies that have been done, you see that a paper bag takes more water consumption, acidification of the atmosphere, the cleaning processes require damage to the ecosystems, forests obviously have to be continually chopped down. Algae is present in much of the water that's used to clean them. And paper bags are 6 to 10 times heavier than the lightweight plastic bags. Transport is therefore increased, and if they get into landfill, which is what none of us want, they take up much more room. A similar study showed that it takes 6 times more energy during the life cycle of a paper bag than a plastic bag. The statistics are here. I'm sure these slides will be circulated. And paper bags generate 5 times more solid waste than plastic bags. So the conclusion is the ultimate is a bag for life. We're all in agreement with that. But there are many benefits to a plastic bag over a paper bag if it is properly reused and recycled. Let's look at a second example of greenwashing, the paper cup. Okay, paper cups are traditionally coated with PE, polyethylene. The problem with that is you can't put it into the paper bin because it's coated with plastic, and you can't put it in the plastic bin because it's coated with paper. Lots of people have come up with solutions of them. If you look at a survey that's just recently been completed, most of the companies are offering a PLA coated cup and claiming it to be compostable. You can see the majority here are PLA. Once again, all these companies are providing predominantly a PLA solution. Everybody thinks it's eco-friendly, but let's have a look at that. To produce a PLA takes 27.2 megajoules per kilogram of fossil fuel energy to produce the plastic, emitting 1.2 kilograms of carbon dioxide per kg. It's labeled as compostable, but PLA is only compostable in industrial composting facilities. That takes 3 days energy at 60 degrees to activate it. So you cannot put a PLA cup just in the ground and hope it breaks down. It's got to be specifically collected and treated. And therefore, if you look at the PLA cups, if they do get into composting and PLA, they produce far more greenhouse gases than the equivalent HDPE and LDPE. I have to say, actually, at HotPack, we do have if you can see it, we do have a better solution than PLA. But there's lots of exciting new products we're looking at HotPack. The traditional ones are at the top. We have got bio-PE, bio-PET, but they are not biodegradable. We are looking at bio-based PBSs, PLAs, PHAs, and also into PBATs. And there's a very exciting product at the bottom there in chichen, which is made from prawn and lobster shells. Again, PET. We've bought very expensive machines in our factories that could take 60 to 100% recycled content. We would love to make recycled PET. The price of it is similar, and it has actually crossed the price of virgin PET, but because it's not available in this region, the shipping cost outweighs us being able to use it. But our factories are ready to use it. There's lots of developments underway at the moment with rPET to allow us to use recycled content and hopefully reduce the price by a further 6%. So we're looking forward very much to having recycled PET in the region. Everything is ready. 50% less energy used making an rPET bottle than from PET. There's our machines already recyclable PET ready and recycled rPET ready. We're ready for the circular economy. We just need to get the raw materials into us. Obviously, if we have monolayer materials with a single plastic, it makes the recycling much easier for everyone involved. It's very important in the circular economy to understand the importance of the letter D. Recyclable on the side of everything means nothing. What we want is recycled. That is hopefully the backbone of this conference today. We've done everything at HotPack. We think we're, as I showed you in the outline of our product range, we obviously have a vast environmentally supportive range. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mike. I think you raised some important topics there, and especially regarding the importance of using life cycle assessments to really assess whether or not our product is doing what we say it will do for the health of the planet. My next guest is Tomo Fushimi. He is the Global Director of Ambient Solutions for Tetra Pak. Tomo, please go ahead.
All right.
We can see your screen.
Yes, just give me 1 second. All right.
Perfect. Thank you, Tomo.
All right. So thank you very much for the kind introduction. So as mentioned, I am the Global Director of Ambient Solutions for Tetra Pak. I have been 16 years with the company in various roles in sales, marketing, product management in 3 different regions: Asia Pacific, Europe, Middle East, and at the moment I now have a global role looking at the innovation strategy, focusing very much on sustainable products and solutions in our portfolio. By 2050, the world's population is expected to reach more than 9 billion people. So I think Sarah mentioned a number. We have 8 billion today. It's going to be another 1 billion, in a couple of years from now. And this will put a lot of strain on the food sourcing as we see today. So it is expected that we will need additional 70% of food availability by 2050 in order to feed the whole population. And if you look today, the estimate is that roughly 1/3 of the food that is produced is lost or wasted every year. And the packaging suppliers, we all play a very critical role in the food delivery system in order to reduce the waste as much as possibly we can. Now, packaging, it can cause a problem for the planet. We heard a few examples from Dr. Mike here, but the production of packaging is causing carbon emission. We're leaving a footprint. There's waste ending up in the nature, in the environment. We're using resources that at some point in time will end. And also we have limited recyclability of some of the packaging materials. But as a packaging supplier, we need to be a part of the solution, and we believe that we need to have a very, very strong, bold ambition and target towards increasingly sustainable packaging in order to help address the environmental challenges that we're facing. As a company, Tetra Pak, we have an ambition to deliver the world's most sustainable food package. And this means that we should have a food package that is made purely out of responsibly sourced, renewable or recycled materials, and it should be fully recyclable, and it has to be also carbon neutral. Normally, when we look at innovations and the ways we're operating, we always look at the full value chain. And we do this in order to help our customers, the brands, to always stay relevant to the increasingly conscious consumers around the world. So we're looking at everything from food sources, food sourcing, to product innovation, production efficiency in the factories, different new packaging materials, distribution efficiency, and also supporting consumers in order to understand and take the right decisions. I'll give you a few examples, starting from food sources and food waste. So I have here a few words saying transforming byproducts. What does this mean? So we had a case where a Taiwanese customer approached us, and they are a soy milk producer. And when you process soybeans, whole beans, there is quite a lot of waste coming out of it called okara. This okara has a quite high fiber content, but it is all wasted because it cannot be processed back into the product. Now, together with this customer, we developed a processing solution where we could actually make that okara sellable and put it back into the product. And by that, we helped the customer to create a product, a high fiber content product, value-added product at the premium positioning. And by doing this, we also reduce the food waste that is coming out of the production of their products. Another example is going into the production and the factories of our customers. And we have a processing solution that is called one-step technology. And in simple terms, what it does is that it reduces the steps in the processing of the raw material and reduces the time use. So, well, the output of all of this is that you can reduce the water utilization and the energy utilization while you're processing the raw material into a consumer product. Moving into the packaging and specifically on the packaging material. So we have or are releasing a number of solutions where we look at utilizing different renewable materials in the package. And also recently we have started trials with using recycled materials. In this case, we have a cap that where we have used recycled polymers, and we're launching this or testing this into the market in France at the moment. We also work a lot on alternative barriers in order to replace the aluminum foil that we have in the package. And of course, the aim is to have a recyclable barrier instead of the aluminum foil. And lastly, we also are now in the process of replacing all the closures that we have in the portfolio to anti-littering tethered solutions in the whole portfolio. Now, taking the step or the last step in the circular economy is, of course, about recycling. And if we look at the recycling rate that we have focusing on Middle East and Africa at the moment, we have a range of 15, 16, 17% of recycling of all the used beverage carton in the region. And this is lower than what we see in many other regions. We see 30, 35, 40, and in some specific markets, it's way higher than that. Now, we have a recycling capacity in Middle East and Africa of 87,000 tons per year of used beverage carton recycling. The capacity is almost filled, and meaning that if we want to increase the recycling rate from 16, 20% and higher, we need to expand the recycling capabilities. So Tetra Pak, together with other carton suppliers in the region, we have done quite a lot of investments in order to start up new recycling facilities. And the latest one is that has opened up is one in Arabia area, or more in Saudi Arabia, and in order to increase the capacity. So if you look at the numbers, in 2020, we had 16 recyclers in the whole region. And by next year, 2023, we expect that this number should be more than double, and we should have 35 recyclers in operation by that time. So I just wanted to conclude with a few words from the founder of Tetra Pak, Ruben Rousing. He said, and this was more than half a century ago, he said that a package should save more than it costs. And this, I believe, today is still very, very, very relevant, especially in the name of sustainability. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom.
Sarah, back to you.
Thank you very much indeed. I think this point that you make about a package should save more than it costs, when we consider the implication of what packaging costs the environment today, because it's not properly managed post-consumer. It's something we have to bear in mind. Thank you, Tomo. My next guest is Dina Epifanova. She's the Global Head of Sustainability of the IFCO Group. I think the conversation regarding eco-positive solutions for packaging has to start with the brand owners. And I think the benefit of having this panel with the brand owners as well as the packaging suppliers is because sustainability impacts the full value chain of a company, from sourcing and procurement through manufacturing to distribution, sales, and now is increasing also the responsibility for post-consumer packaging. So it's really a philosophy that needs to permeate a company. It's driven by its leadership and applied in every aspect of the company's operation. So Dina, we're glad to hear from you. Please go ahead.
Hello, thanks a lot. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you all. Let me share my screen, and thank you for the introduction. Can you see my screen? Just checking.
Yes, your screen has come up. Thank you, Dina.
Yep. Yes, you are right. The brand
Please
owners are the brand owners are those who shape the market in a way, and it's good to bring packaging expertise to this journey, as I have been working in Europe and Central Asia cluster in previous employees, multinational companies from the packaging industry. Now I'm at the other side, and you're right, the brand owners are those who can make an impact, and this is what IFCO Group wants to do in the nearest years. So what I want to talk about today, what is sustainable packaging from the expertise perspective, first of all, what are the trends and what are the solutions, and I will bring some examples of what IFCO Group is doing. A couple of questions about a couple of points about IFCO, in case you are not familiar, but I'm pretty doubtful that you are not familiar, because the brands are there in the markets, like London Dairy, ice cream, and other things, Al Baker flour, Sunny and Noor oil, Al Hazna chicken, and so on and so on. So IFCO Group is a group established quite some time ago, 1975, with headquarters based in United Arab Emirates. Same time, we are operating in 35 countries and are quite expanding and distributing products in over than 100 markets. So if we talk about megatrends and early signals of what to expect, because sustainability people, they know that whatever you are doing in sustainability, which should be real sustainable journey, is a huge and deep transformational change that takes years and years and even decades. And while planning what we are to do, we are taking really long-term perspective, at least 2030 now, or better 2050 even. And this is what I wanted to start with in a short top-line way. First of all, the world is changing. By 2030, we will have a lot of single-person households, which will make an impact on the packaging industry, which will mean more on-the-go options, which will mean smaller packaging volumes, and so on and so on. There are also other trends that are shaping the food sector. For instance, half of the world's population is going to be overweight or obese already very soon, by 2030 again. Emerging markets are now the main driver, and Africa is gradually replacing now Asia as a region with the highest urban growth rate and high growth on consumption needs. Yeah. So most probably you know already, but some figures also, we are currently overexplored the raw materials that Earth can provide to us. We overexploit it by 75%. And what is even more concerning, that 1/3 of the world's food is wasted. The food waste is another issue which is not yet discussed as much as it should be, I believe. And this is something we have to keep in mind as well. Water scarcity is another issue which is very relevant to this region. By 2030, the forecast is that 700 million people could be displaced by intense water scarcity issue. So different potential scenarios will arise from that, and you can see some of them named here. You can hear zero impact concepts, which are becoming not only something heavily discussed in public, at least in some of the regions globally, which are becoming regulations in a way. Farm scrapers, vertical farming, engineered food, big little players, health hacking, and many other things are going to happen during the next years. Just some examples on the signals. There are some innovative solutions coming here and there. For instance, this is one which is making cups from leftovers of the orange peels. So you can like make a juice and same time use the peels immediately here to use the cup for that juice. Like food waste issue coming into a packaging world solutions, which is something evolving, but not really yet that much in the market. Another thing is that, as I said, it comes to regulations heavily, not yet in this region, but for sure it will come as well. So for instance, Green New Deal is aiming for zero carbon electricity grid, zero carbon transportation, zero carbon buildings, zero waste and zero wastewater by 2050. There are also some other innovations raising up. For instance, there is one initiative supported by United Nations where a bank issues credit cards which limit your credit your credit opportunities by CO2 emissions you are consuming. So these kind of things are already there in the market, and these are the early signals the world is changing. So how does it translate into packaging? Let's start with like the basic concepts and basic hierarchies. We are to reduce, we are to reuse, and we are to recycle. And reduce is the first thing that we should do, as one of the speakers has said already. Designing the packaging, designing the product is key, because you can reduce at this stage so much. Reuse is another thing which is also not yet very present in the market, even in Europe, but reusing, refilling, repurposing is something that will be coming more and more as an option to single use. Recycling evidently is there, we all know, doesn't really need time to comment additionally. There are some options for composting and incinerating, but of course this is something just a bit better than landfilling or wasting in a way. So if we try to name the simple steps that we as business, we as consumers, and we as all other stakeholders forms should be focusing on, these are the main ideas of how to gradually shift to more sustainable packaging. First of all, let's avoid unnecessary packaging, which is very much present in the region, I believe. When you cannot avoid unnecessary packaging or unnecessary like packaging materials or whatever you excessively can use, you go for less raw materials use. You consider raw material climate impact, as discussed today. Life cycle assessments are run to estimate that. Of course, we have to use the materials that can be recycled, and ideally that are actually collected and recycled at the market. Yes, as said also before, recyclability is the basic step to do, and we all have to like work on the profile of our packaging portfolio in a way that we use materials that can be recycled when the infrastructure is ready. But of course, what is even more important, what is exactly collected and recycled today in the market. So widespread and mono materials in general are more sustainable options, but you have to check material by material. It's not like a given. Using recycled materials and non-virgin materials is creating the demand for that. And I hope we will have more and more opportunities here, because we as IFCO, for instance, are very much interested in using recycled PET as an example, but the availability and the regulations landscape is not yet fully ready. And I believe that brand owners like us and others will be happily supporting this stream in the journey. Sourcing from certified value chains, going to multi-use and refillable where possible. At least let's try start thinking of how we can test it. Packaging format is another thing that you should scrutinized from sustainability perspective, and let's think of how we can deliver, transport, store, and distribute more product with less packaging. So,
Dina, you'll have to start wrapping up, please.
Yeah, sure. So just some examples to demonstrate what I have said. A couple of initiatives that we have taken at our airport. For instance, you can see one relatively simple change in changing from a 2-piece plastic cap by 1-piece plastic cap can already decrease the raw material use by 50%, as we did at ERCO in United Arab Emirates, or another initiatives the same way. We were modifying 20 liters container in a way that it is more efficient for transportation and storage by 19%, which would mean you would need 81 trucks instead of 100 to distribute one and the same product volume, which is a simple, relatively simple thing to do. So there are also other initiatives, but I will not go by one by one. I just named the recent ones here, and we have quite a pipeline in plan in the same direction. Thanks a lot, and I'm stopping.
Thank you, Dina. Thank you very much. I think all three of you have actually raised this issue around the ecosystem. It's all very well having the technology and the equipment to be able to use recyclate and food grade packaging, but if the ecosystem is not in place, you cannot do anything about it. And I think that's a very important point that's been raised. My next guest speaker is Sunanda Kadam. She is the General Manager of Intertech Assurus. Very interesting to have you, Sunanda, because this is all about certification and compliance and governance. So please go ahead.
Thank you, Sarah. Let me share my screen.
Okay, your screen is up. Thank you, Sunanda. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So thank you for the introduction, Sarah. And I'm Sunanda from Intertech. I have almost 20 years of experience in regulatory compliance and food contact packaging regulations and global food contact directives. And in today's presentation, I will be speaking on the regulatory compliance and safety for the packaging materials. So before I start the presentation, I will just give you a quick introduction about Intertech. Intertech Group PLC is a British multinational assurance, inspection and product testing company. We are headquartered in London, and we have around 43,000 employees in 100 plus countries, and the network of 1,000 plus laboratories and offices delivers innovative and bespoke assurance for our customers across the globe. So now my actual topic, as I said, safety and compliance in the packaging. As you are aware that there is a rapid increase in sustainable packaging regulations in various jurisdictions. The safety and compliance landscape is rapidly changing to adjust the circular economy. And then there is a legal and regulatory framework that exists today. And there are also new regulations upcoming.
Sunanda, just a second. Sorry for interrupting. Can you please connect your mic because the quality of sound is kind of bad. So if you can connect your mic.
Okay.
Do you have a separate mic, Sunanda?
I do have, but I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you. It sounds like you're underwater, but we can hear you. It's a bit difficult.
Okay. Should I continue?
Yeah, I think so, Sunanda. If you don't have a separate mic, please just go ahead.
Okay. So there's a legal and regulatory framework that exists today, and then there are new regulations regarding circularity, recyclability, and reusability. almost all the governments are revisiting their extended producers obligations, and of course there are liability aspects to it. So thinking critically about the circularity in the packaging design phase is very important. Right from the material selection, such as what is the carbon footprint of the material, whether these materials can be reusable or recyclable, and of course then there are performance and chemical safety aspects of the materials. So when we particularly talk about the packaging recycling, there can be number of challenges, especially with regards to the safety, that can potentially affect the human health. So the circular economy is causing higher demand for suitable and sustainable materials driven by various regulations. So as you are aware that there are strict regulations around recyclability in Europe, USA, and also recently in India they have adopted the regulation on the use of recycled material in the food contact application. So in United States, last year in July, FDA has issued updates to its guidance document addressing the use of recycled plastics in the food packaging. If a manufacturer would like to get the FDA approval on the no objection letter, then they must provide a complete description of the recycling process. And this description also should include, the details about the post-consumer recycled plastic, whether it is, pure or whether there are any contaminations before collection or during the recycling process. So there are a lot of information required to be included in your application when you go for the no objection letter from the FDA. Also, you need to submit the data to support the claim that the recycling process removes all possible contaminations. And then you also have to show the results of your challenge test and the efficacy of your recycling process. So it's a bit complex process, but you can see here that in Internet, we have supported many clients across the globe, and a lot of many recyclers to get the approval on the no objection letter from FDA. You can click here in this link and you will get more information. Now, in Europe, when we talk about the recycled plastics use in the food contact application, again, there are various regulations which affect, the recycled plastics. So here I have listed some of these regulations. First one is framework legislation, that is EC 1935/2004. And this regulation is actually, this covers all kinds of food contact materials, including recycled material. And as in the framework legislation, it is clearly mentioned that your labeling should be clear properly. There should be a correct labeling of the packaging material. Traceability system should be in place. And of course, all the packaging materials should have the appropriate documentation, such as the Declaration of Compliance, DOC. Then there is also GMP regulation, and this regulation applies to all kinds of food contact materials, including recycled plastics. The objective of GMP regulation is to ensure chemical safety and compliance of all kinds of materials that goes into food contact application. And then there is EU 102011, which is a plastic regulation. And in this regulation, it is mentioned that recycled plastic can be used for the food contact application, but it should be behind the functional barrier. And then there is the EC 282/2008, which is the recycled material regulation in Europe. And in this regulation, there are requirements that the recyclers should get the authorization from EFSA or for their recycling processes. And of course, there are requirements for the clear information in your DOC and appropriate labeling in the packaging material. So these are the regulations in Europe for the recycled material.
Thank you, Sunanda. I think we have to stop there. It's really, really hard to hear your presentation. So thank you for that. I'm sorry about the quality of sound on that. I apologize to everybody. I want to touch on one question to the panel. So a quick, short answer from each one of you. We talk about the ecosystem. It's all very well having the technology. It's all very well having the innovations. If we do not have the other elements of the ecosystem in place, then Mike doesn't have the material to use in his packaging. There's all sorts of applications which will remain as theory. So I just want to go around the table, starting with you, Dr. Mike, just to say, what if we look at the UAE in particular, what is the one thing that we need to start out with in order for you to get HotPack's technical expertise running with recycled content in packaging?
Very simple. We need to stop putting all the plastic into landfill. Here's a really simple example. Why could we not have a color scheme for each plastic? So PET, we could say, could be a red tint, a green tint, a blue tint. For PP, we could have another tint in it, so that we can instantly recognize and separate these plastics using a background color. If you want to brand it, you could put a label on it. But those kind of things would allow us to quickly separate and clean the different plastics so we could use them again.
Thank you, Dr. Mark. That's a very innovative answer. Tomo, how about for Tetra Pak's perspective?
Well, I think so. So I'm quite in line with what Dr. Mike is saying, because on the development of the package, and I mean we have resources in place, we have the roadmap, we are doing what we can. But now, in order to let's say we focus on recycling, and to increase the recycling, one thing we're doing is working with investing in recycling capabilities. But we also, as Dr. Mike says, we need to work on recycling infrastructure as well. So that is one thing, because you can have the recycling facility, but you need to get the material there. The second thing is that, and this is important and critical, we need to continue to drive and build awareness amongst consumers in order to get the level of knowledge up, because in the end, if the consumers don't put the used package in the bin, where if we have an infrastructure in place, it's not going to reach the recycling facility.
Yeah, absolutely. So coming from that, Dina, obviously Dina's had to go for another session, so we'll skip Dina. Sunanda, just one quick word on science-based targets and transparency of reporting. How do companies monitor their progress towards these sustainability goals? Sunanda, you're muted.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Sarah, now you're muted.
No, yeah, just go ahead, Sunanda.
Okay, so I would answer this, that in Intotech, we support clients in developing their GHG strategies from GHG accounting and verification and setting science-based targets, and also identify reduction opportunities for our clients. Also provide third-party verification services if necessary. We help many companies to collect necessary data to calculate their scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 emissions. Particularly scope 3 emissions are very complex area, because there are a lot of information required which is not in the control of the manufacturers. And then we have helped number of clients to understand their critical and strategic suppliers that could be impactful for their emissions, and then conduct the supplier engagements to facilitate the overall reduction efforts. So this is how.
Thank you, Sunanda. So I just want to thank my panelists. Thank you very, very much for your expertise. I think working together collaboratively is the way that we're going to really be able to put these solutions into practice and really make a difference. So thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.